Ladies, gentlemen, please take your seats. The spotlight is about to begin. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mystery Matt, and you're listening to the Mystery Matt Spotlight Podcast. This evening, we thought we'd go a little bit less mystery and a little bitey, chompy kind of thingy. We are doing Shark Week. So, if you're not familiar, I believe Shark Week is a thingy on TV.
It's on Discovery.
Is it still, though?
Yes.
It is. Alrighty. Well, this evening I'm joined by Colleen and Sarah, and Chris is in the background, so if you hear the odd remark, then you know. He's probably just choking on dick, though.
Anyway, so Colleen's going to kick it off.
What? Yeah, it was good pizza.
Okay. Yo.
Yeah.
And Colleen's going to kick this sucker off.
Oh, hi, Colleen.
Hello.
So Colleen just got new tattoos. They're not so bad.
Well, thank you. I quite like them.
Yeah, once that top one here heals up more, I think I'll see more detail in
Yeah.
It looks fuzzy, so it kind of looks...
I think it's just because of the scarring.
Yeah,
stuff,
well, no,
right?
it's not scarring. It's just because the skin's kind of sloughing off a little bit on it. Because, yeah, no big deal. That's what happens. But it's actually a really cute, like, sleeping version of Foxy from Nausicaa, or Tito, if you want to call him that. I was one of the originals that watched Warriors of the Wind way back in the day when it was destroyed by the American.
Okay, sharks.
I went to high school with a sloughing off.
All right, so I actually have a joke for you guys.
I just did one.
Let's start this.
Okay.
So 3 TV executives walk into a bar one night. What happens? Shark Week. That's how it all started. Three of the executives from Discovery Channel, which was at that point only 2 years old.
So lame joke.
I know, but it still sounds bad.
Dad joke.
3 executives walk into a bar one night, yeah. So they were trying to find something to help their fledgling channel. This was in 1988. So they go into the bar, and between some beers, going to the bathroom, whatever, they wrote on a napkin 2 words, Shark Week. And then that started what is now the longest running programming event in TV, on cable TV.
It started only 2 years after Discovery started?
Yep. Discovery started in 86. Shark Week started in 88.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
And they immediately... So the 3 execs were John Hendricks, Clark Bunting, and Steve Sheshkin. And if I get those names wrong, I'm so sorry. They came up with this idea of Shark Week. They needed something to boost the viewing on the channel. Now, at that time, Discovery was very much a documentary, information, science-based channel. We all kind of know what it became. Anyway.
What did it become?
So on July 17th, 1988,
What?
Shark Week began.
I want to know what it became.
What is it,
Hit me.
reality show shit?
Mythbusters. And...
Yeah, well,
Mythbusters isn't bad. But
Okay,
like-
but it's still not really
Mythbusters,
good.
you're kind of learning something.
Well, yeah, you are, but
Yeah.
it's kind of stupid at
Science.
the same time.
But
It's a lot of, it's a lot of reality-based. There's a lot of... I think you can even find, CSI on there now.
no.
Or Castle or something.
Isn't there,
was, at one
Like
point.
the highway guys or something are on that?
Ice Road
Oh,
Truck.
Yeah,
ice road
those
truckers.
ice
A
road
lot of those
truckers.
truckers,
Yeah,
mechanical
okay.
shit.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah,
cares
see-
about.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Shark Week. So again, July 17th, 88, it began. There were a total of 10 episodes that aired. The very first was Caged in Fear. Then there was also Sharks, Predator or Prey, The Shark Tales, A Siesta, and Sharks of a Different Color. Discovery soon realized it had a huge thing on its hand because their viewing doubled for Shark Week, which was pretty damn big for this new channel. So they decided to do it again the next year and the next. They soon actually started hiring the best videographers and getting the best equipment and going full force into making the programming for Shark Week the best because they realized this was a great thing for their channel.
It became a thing.
Yeah. Over the years, actually because of Shark Week, they developed a lot of new technology for filming underwater and for filming these documentaries, including, I guess, the famous SEAL camera, which is pretty infamous as catching one of the best shark breaches on video. Yeah. And then they also developed the Phantom camera, which can record up to 1,000 frames per second, which is now commonly used in many documentaries. But it was actually created for Shark Week by Discovery. So for a number of years, they started in 88, and every year they do more programming. They'd add more in. In 1991, they actually decided to call it Shark Week: The Revenge, paying homage to the Jaws franchise, Jaws 4: The Revenge. And then to make that even more, in 94, they had their very first host, which was Peter Benchley, who wrote Jaws.
Oh, nice.
So he hosted the 1994 Shark Week. And then they started using hosts later on. And for a while it was you'd get a host every few years. But then starting kind of in 2000, they started having hosts pretty much every year. The Shark Week in the year 2000, so that would have been like, let's say the 12th or something. Some of the numbers for the Shark Weeks seem a little bit off to me, but I don't know why.
Like they might have skipped a year or something.
Or that there were 2 in a year. Anyway, it was weird. So in 2000, they did Shark Week Uncaged, and they had 3D segments in the viewing, and so they actually gave away millions of 3D glasses for the event. Yeah, I actually remember that, and it was hosted by famous zoologist Nigel Marven.
See, that's the one that you should have done with the Jaws guys, because wasn't there a Jaws 3D? And even just the reference in Back to the Future.
I was just thinking. I only remember Jaws 3D from Back to the Future.
But even still, I would have played that up.
I think Jaws 2 was.
I don't remember that. Was it originally? Okay.
One of them, I'm pretty sure, was filmed in 3D.
The one that we all kind of remember, I mentioned the SEAL camera. That was 2001, and that was with the absolute amazing Air Jaws, Sharks of South Africa. And that was actually Air Jaws, Sharks of South Africa.
Can I explain?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite ones because I love the SEAL cam. What they did is they had this camera attached to a piece of leather or something, like thick piece of leather shaped. Well, yeah, but it was shaped like a seal. They dragged it behind the boat because the only place in the world where sharks will breach right out of the water is in South Africa. So what they do, they come up from the bottom and they shoot right up at the top and go up and breach for their food. And they did it right around Seal Island, which I believe is on the South African coast. And it's super neat. Really neat. It was one of my favorite segments because I'd never seen that before, other than from Wales, of course.
Huh.
And, you talk about that was your favorite. That's one I remember. And that actually was the largest viewing in Shark Week history, was for Air Jaws in 2001. In 2003, another big one they did was Anatomy of a Shark Bite. Shark Bite. I can't talk. I'm sorry. 2005 started the first hosting by the Mythbusters, which they again did in 2008.
Really? I didn't even know they did.
Yep, Mythbusters hosted it a couple times, and a couple of their variations of whoever the Mythbusters were.
Oh, I know.
In 2006, the Discovery Channel placed a giant inflatable shark over their headquarters, and I've seen the pictures. Like, this thing is giant. They've used it a few times over the years, and I guess now it's called Chompy. And it is giant. So there's like this head poking out one part of the building, fins off 2 others, and then the tail off the back. So it's this giant inflatable shark they put up every few years. Where I got confused is apparently 2007 was the 20th anniversary. But yet it started in 1988, so shouldn't it have been 2008. So I don't know if my number was wrong. I don't know, but everything I found said 2007 was the 20th anniversary.
I think you're right. I think they might have had one year where they did a double. Okay. Might have been during one of the writer strikes or something, where they might have done a double because extra content on TV, right? So that's my guess. Because you're right, it is 88. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. So on the 20th anniversary, they actually launched a game called Shark Runners, and it used actual GPS data from tagged sharks for you to play this game. I don't know what happened to the game, but I guess it was a big thing they launched. And that was also where they had a show. It was called Hypnotizing a Deadly Shark, and that was where the fact of, you put a shark on its back and it falls asleep, that's where that came into public kind of conscience and knowledge. let's see. The host for that year was Les Stroud. Now, I have to admit, I don't know who half these hosts are, so I'm not naming them all.
I think Les Stroud, if I'm not mistaken, is Survivor guy. One of the Survivor guys,
Okay.
Naked and
Don't know.
Survivor, or some shit like that.
Right.
Chris is looking it up, I think.
To
Stroud.
LES, yeah, STROUD. So 2009 was another big one that I remember, Blood in the Water. And that was a recreation of the Jersey Shore attacks of
So now
1916.
When they have like these Shark Weeks and they name them, is that the name of the whole Shark Week
No.
event, or is that just a movie they came out with for that?
Yeah. Each Shark Week has anywhere from like generally about, I think the lowest number I saw was like 6 to 12 brand new programs. And then they'll sometimes repeat programs from previous years. And some of the Shark Weeks are actually like, I think one was 10 days. One was 5 days. So they are like a week, but give or take a few days some years. But they do come out with new programs every year. It's a big thing. Discovery puts a lot of money into coming out with these new documentaries for it. And
Chris, do you have something to say?
No, I just pulled up who Les Stroud was.
Oh.
He's the creator and founder of Survivor Man.
Oh, so I was right.
okay, so Survivor Man, not Survivor. Okay.
I thought I said Survivor Man.
Oh, I thought you meant Survivor Man.
Survivor Man.
Okay. I thought you meant like man from Survivor. Okay. All right. I'm an idiot. What can I say?
I thought you said dude from Survivor.
Yeah. 2010 was hosted by Craig Ferguson. Again, I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I didn't look it up.
Comedy host.
Okay. All right. I don't know names. The inflatable shark was used for the second time on the building. And this was actually the highest rated year so far in their history with over 30 million viewers. And at this point in 2010, it became the longest running program on cable.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The big turning year, the one that seems to really get into people's craws the most and cause some big issues for Discovery, was 2013. That year, they chose to air Megalodon, The Monster Shark Lives. And this was a so-called docufiction.
Oh, I go into that. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
And so Discovery actually took a big hit to their credibility when they aired this. It was like, up till this point, Discovery was seen as, this is a science show. This is science, this is fact, this is research. But when they aired this, they really lost a lot of
Like
it.
during Shark
So-
Week, would they ever play any of the Jaws movies or anything?
Non-Discovery, no.
No, so it was all just like science
Mini
and.
documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Discovery later vowed that they would remove this type of programming. I don't think they did. But in 2014, they introduced Shark After Dark, which was a live program each night that they did.
Just talked.
Yeah, it seemed kind of stupid in that.
Still is.
The 2017, they did another odd thing. They did Michael Phelps racing against a CGI shark. And this one caused some controversy because I guess the ads and everything leading up to it were very much made it look like Michael Phelps, Olympic swimmer, was going to race against a real shark. So when people tuned into the program and realized it's a CGI shark, they were pretty disappointed. And this was also the first year they actually played Shark Week in the theaters. They chose a few of the episodes and played them in like big theaters. The 30th anniversary was 2018, and it had 34 million viewers and over 48 million people engaging on social media. So it's been around for a long time, and every year they come out with some new stuff. It was originally devoted to correcting misconceptions about sharks and to highlight conservation efforts. The idea that the executives originally wanted was they wanted to captivate and educate people. And they wanted to provide a different view of sharks than what the prevailing negative one in the culture was. The interesting thing that I found, though, when reading is that never once has the show ever recommended government action or donations to conservation groups. And I don't know, like, if the show has ever done that.
Oh, you're stealing part of my thunder.
I read through yours, I swear. But I'm sorry.
I know you're putting it a lot differently than I am.
Yeah, and that was just a touch on because I could have sworn I'd seen ones where they said, but they really didn't. So that's just in my mind where they were like, please donate or whatever. Interesting. Because that when I read that, I'm like, no, that can't be. So, yeah.
The other thing is that when I don't get conservation efforts at all from any of the shark programs that we're ever on, a lot of it was like, oh, look at this woman. She lost her arm and she's still going out surfing, blah, blah, blah. And it was all very dramatic, dramatizations of shark attacks for the most years. Not much about conservation. A lot of the people who were attacked and survived would say, hey, you know what? It was my fault. I was swimming in their home. That's about as far as conservation went, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just interested on that one because I thought for sure it must have at some point said, please involve in these, but I don't remember enough. So
You might be getting confused with just the general overall World Wildlife Foundation
Yeah.
commercials. And it might have just been a commercial that came on during Shark Week.
now I did though find that Discovery has actually raised over 1 million for a conservation group called Oceana. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, the idea that, okay, a great big company like Discovery, only 1 million.
I was literally about to say,
that
you
seems
took the
like-
words out of my mouth.
That seems like such a pittance when you think of what their viewership is every year. Like this is the event that actually made Discovery. Without it, they probably would not have survived.
That's like walking past a homeless guy with $1,000 in ones in your wallet and you throw him a quarter.
Yeah. Yes. That's actually a good way of putting it. Because it seemed, I'm like, that is such a pittance for them to give, considering everything they've gotten from it.
Yeah.
But,
Not to mention, it's hard to sit on $1,000 worth of ones.
good point. That would be pretty,
And
well,
have you fold that in half? and
although
put
I'm
it
sorry, but for Canadians, $1,000 worth of ones would be pretty damn heavy coins in our pocket.
Yeah. Ching, ching, ching. Sound like a bunch of cowboys.
yeah. Yeah.
Even with twos.
with
That's not
twos.
getting you there either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good days.
So we're going to get into some shark facts.
Some shark education.
Yeah, let's get in some education here. So there are more than 500 shark species.
Really?
Yes.
That's more than 3.
No shit, Sherlock. The tiger sharks are often named the trash collectors of the oceans as they will eat pretty much anything. Necropsies
Including your mom.
Yes. Necropsies done on the bodies of multiple tiger sharks have shown everything from shoes to metal cans to rubber from tires, just to name a few. Tiger sharks are distinguished by the faint dark stripes over their dorsal ridge. They can grow up to 16 feet. They are only second to the great whites in recorded fatal attacks on humans, but that happens very rarely. So obviously the great whites are the most famous of all shark species and the star of the hit movie franchise Jaws. And the largest recorded one was 19-foot female weighing over 4,000 pounds. And just for interest, females are always larger than the males. In 2012, great white sharks were documented in 272 number of bite incidents on humans. That's the largest number on bite incidents in 1 year. And many believe that this is my favorite fact. Many believe that the great white shark is the apex predator of the ocean. That simply is not the case. The orca, also known as the killer whale, rule the oceans, with many great whites going out of their way to avoid these intelligent, majestic dolphins. And yes, orcas are actually a species of dolphins.
And aren't sharks a species of fish?
Yes. The largest species of dolphins, in fact, are what orcas are. And orca can easily take out any shark species by simply flipping the shark onto their back, stunning them, and since the sharks need to keep moving in order to survive, they die of suffocation before the orca bites into them and eats normally their nutrient-rich livers. So maybe we should have Orca Week instead, huh?
Leave liver alone.
And we already kind of touched on this a little bit, but South Africa's east coast is known for having the infamous breaching
Ooh.
great whites.
Where are you going so
And
fast?
They will launch themselves up through the ocean at a very fast speed to surprise their eventual pinniped meal and launch themselves into the air.
Neat.
Anybody guess who the main predators of sharks are?
Orcas?
And?
Humans.
Humans. That's right.
Humans.
Orcas and humans are the main predators of sharks. Believe it or not, sharks do not mean to attack humans. They actually don't like the way we taste because we taste like fish. No, we don't. I'm just kidding. I was
Doesn't
making
make
a
it-
Barton Street joke. Jeez. But they don't, seriously, they don't like the way we taste.
You could have
Mistakes
made
are
that
made
in
when
your
the
mom joke.
shark can't see through the visibility reduced murky waters, thinking that they are going after what may be a large fish or a seal. They hunt during the early mornings at dawn and in evenings at dusk, which is where a majority of shark attacks take place. Fatalities happen
Fatality.
when the shark bites into part of the humans where a major artery is located, and it's usually the femoral, which is causing death by blood loss. So what species are the most dangerous? According to the website howstuffworks.com, number 10, the blue shark.
Oh,
Number 9, the bronze whaler.
never heard of it.
8, the oceanic white tip.
Kinky.
7, carpet sharks.
What was that?
Carpet sharks.
Yeah.
Oh god, make sure I say this properly. 6, sand tiger sharks. 5, black tip shark. 4, requiem shark. Any
For a
guess?
dream?
And any guess at number 3?
Wait, what?
No.
Tiger.
Hammerhead.
Nope. Bull shark.
Ah.
Number 2 is the tiger shark, and number 1 is our buddy, the great white.
So hammerheads are so nice they're not even on the list?
No. Well, they're not. They're not on the top 10.
Well, I'm getting one then.
So despite the great white taking number 1, many marine biologists say that the bull shark is the most dangerous due to their high level of aggression and ability to survive in freshwater, often being found in freshwater rivers and estuaries.
What about the goblin shark?
I'm pretty sure that's not dangerous.
Oh.
The largest shark, which also happens to be the largest fish in the world, is the, Rhynchodon typus, more commonly known as the whale shark. Whale sharks can grow up to 40 feet and weigh 40 tons.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a big fishy.
Unlike their many shark cousins, whale sharks are filter feeders, feeding mostly on small organisms like plankton, schooling fish, and squid.
Filter feeders. That was that baleen.
Small, yeah, plankton and stuff, yeah.
Well, no, I thought isn't it like a baleen?
No, they basically just flush it out through their gills.
Oh,
So-
okay.
According to octonauts,
I love octonauts.
what they do is when they suck in their food through the water, they filter the water out through their gills, the food goes down, and some of the stuff that they don't want they burp it out. Like octonauts. They'll burp the octonauts out
Okay.
because they don't want the octonauts because they're too big.
That's good.
All right. So
I love
Makes sense to me.
we
I
all
don't
love
know.
octonauts. Actually,
Everyone
a lot of us
follow-
have grown up watching octonauts with our daughter, so we've all become...
We grew up watching octonauts
we
with
grew
our
up watching
daughter.
octonauts because we actually had to grow up when we had a child.
It's like, oh God, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But seriously, the stuff we've learned
I
from
know,
that,
right?
like,
It's crazy. Highly recommend octonauts over Discovery Shark Week.
I don't know
FYI.
if you guys know what a siphonophore is, but you got to look that stuff up. Or the
the
immortal jellyfish. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Goo goo gaga, man. When Peter Benchley wrote the novel Jaws and Steven Spielberg turned it into a thrilling movie series, neither one of them thought that people would go out to hunt and fish these animals as villains, making the population suffer due to irrational fears of an extra-large man-eating great white shark. Both have stated many regrets for how their movies hurt the species. Spielberg has become an advocate for shark preservation, as has Peter Benchley. The number of large sharks in the waters off the eastern seaboard in North America declined by 50%. So, that leads us into what Shark Week on Discovery has turned into, and this may be more considered an opinion piece, but I did do some facting stuff. So, let's go. As much as we have learned about sharks in the early years of Discovery Shark Week, including fear, times have changed. I stopped watching Shark Week back in 2013 to 2015, around there, when I got to be so campy with less than imaginative footage and documentaries. One of the worst additions to the week was the airing of a fictional movie franchise, Sharknado, about killer tornadoes full of hungry sharks. Another addition to their weeks were fictional documentaries, which is the Megalodon.
The Megalodon.
So usually around the prehistoric...
Really, Sharknado was part of that?
Yes. Yes,
Oh.
they did air it. Usually around the prehistoric Megalodon, which has been extinct for 2.6 million years. Fake documentaries on search for the extinct shark, alluding to the fact that there have been sightings, consumes 2 hours of one's life they will never get back as they show you useless footage while spitting out iffy facts, with a moron leading us to some grainy doctored footage and culminating to absolutely fuck all. If you want to do an actual documentary on megalodons, complete with actual scientific facts and history on the animal and how it evolved into what species they are now, go right ahead. But don't waste my time for 2 hours on a fictional drama without any relevancy while claiming to have documented sightings of an animal that no longer exists. So fuck you for insulting my intelligence. Where has the education gone?
Yeah, I add an opinion.
Okay, yes, you can add an opinion.
Okay, I will admit I'm the weirdo. I freaking love the Sharknado series. But I grew up
So
with
did Peter.
I grew up with a dad who loved the campy old sci-fi. So to me, Sharknado was just awesome. And I actually enjoyed the Megalodon one. But that said, I knew enough that this was not a real documentary. To me, this was a cool thought experiment piece. I enjoy those type of things. But I can see for some others or whatever, they did not fully, they didn't give you a warning. This is not real or whatever.
They misled you.
They misled you,
See,
which was completely wrong.
If they were going to start doing things like that, like, for example, airing Sharknado, right? And then probably airing Jaws, too, right? Did they ever air Jaws? No.
Sharknado was, I believe, made by a partner company of one of theirs.
Yeah, it really badly done.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animation's horrible.
It was done by Sci-Fi Network, so...
But, like, my point being, like, if you were going to do those fictional pieces, you should have started when you started doing Shark Week. Have, like, your documentary things and then go into, like, the evening movie hour where you know all these upcoming ones are all going to be fiction. Tonight we're watching Jaws 1 and 2, and then we're going to watch Sharknado 1, and those are the movies that are playing all night, right?
Well, it was actually Shark Week that led to things like Sharknado being done. Because of the interest in Shark Week, people realized this is something we can bank on. And until Shark Week got really big, there wasn't a lot of stuff on sharks out there. But Shark Week became a pop culture phenomenon, talked about in different sitcoms and things like that. So,
Couple
like,
different
live
Power
every
Ranger
week
teams
like
had
it's Shark
sharks.
Week. So
Matt's just happy that I stopped biting him because I stopped watching. So where has the education gone? Nobody's going to learn to respect these animals if you're not putting out fact-based, scientifically proven material. Shark Week was designed to instill 60% thrills and fears and 40% education. These numbers are rough, by the way. Now it's 95% thrills, 3% bullshit, and 2% education. So what should be on Shark Week now? What the public needs to see is the impact we have on the shark populations. I'm not saying eliminate the thrills. You have to make it entertaining to draw views in. But include more education on what's going on with these animals that have made your channel so popular since 1988. Times have changed and our environment has also changed. That includes the downside of sharks and the marine ecosystem they help maintain. They can easily obtain the rights to the late and amazing Canadian film documentarian Rob Stewart's Sharkwater and Sharkwater 2, where Stewart takes the viewers into an underwater world of sharks and all of the adversaries. I think that's not right, but adversities, of their suffering because of us stupid humans.
That's why I don't script things.
Overfishing and the shark finning industry has really depleted our shark populations. That's not scripted. I'm just ad-libbing it.
Yeah, you really do have to start showing, like, what we are doing to the oceans, and if you're going to be focusing on sharks alone that week, then be like, listen, they're being hunted for their meat as food. They're being hunted for their heads for trophies. They're being hunted for their heads for teeth, for souvenirs, for people who are coming through and think sharks' teeth are neat. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like they're not that neat. They got like 3 rows of them. Yeah. And they grow back. So,
So overfishing and shark finning industry, like I said, has decimated the population. Stewart educates viewers on the impact of the loss of these animals and the impact of that loss on various marine ecosystems. Humans have decimated many shark populations for the sake of making fucking soup. Yeah. The trade is estimated to be a $400 to $500 million annually, with up to 73 million sharks being killed. That's approximately a 70% decline in shark population. The shark fins are removed while the animal is still alive and then dumped back into the ocean, where they sink to the floor and either die of suffocation or a predator eats them. It's a very slow and very painful death. Spain is the top source of imports to Hong Kong, Singapore, and Taiwan. When fishing for sharks for finning, many other marine species become bycatch. Marine animals like dolphins and sea turtles, small whales, and more. And the fishermen who are pulling in the nets do not give 2 shits if any of these animals die, which is still decimating our ecosystems in the oceans. In 2019, Canada amended the Federal Fisheries Act to include a ban on shark finning.
The
Okay, so I don't know the proper term anymore, but the Inuit culture, like way up north,
Yeah.
they don't like to be called Eskimos anymore. That's it.
Inuit,
So
Aboriginal, I don't know.
yeah, but the ones that would eat like blubber or
Seal,
whale or seals and
whatever.
that kind of stuff, right? The things that some of us would be like, oh, why would you eat that? It's like, because that's what they had. That's all they had. It's fucking frozen. Anyways, whenever they would consume something from the sea, whether or not it be a shark, whale, whatever, they would always do a ceremony to that animal's spirit, and they would use absolutely every single part of that animal so that none of it went to waste and none of it was dishonored.
And a lot of
none of it.
a lot of the times, though, they would only kill one very large whale, and that whole whale would
Yeah.
be used for its oil, for its blubbers, for food, for clothing, for everything. And they wouldn't waste it. It would feed the whole village for a whole winter.
And that's what I'm talking
And-
about.
But they don't
Yeah.
have... the shark population up there is not very huge.
But it
So
was
they
the
wouldn't
overall
feed-
point
but yes,
I was
your
going
overall
for.
point is that they're not just killing for the sake of killing and throwing stuff back that they don't want. They don't
They're
do that.
killing for survival and not desecrating the land.
Yes.
Whereas now it's become such a disgusting industry that
And-
they cut the one thing that the shark uses to keep going straight.
Yeah.
It suffocates because it can't stay straight.
And because of their culture, they have so much respect for their wildlife and their animals that they are doing like almost like a funeral for it before they, dig in, so to speak, I guess, for the lack of better terms. So they're showing respect for the animal because they're also thanking it for its blessing for their food and their clothing and their oil to run lamps and stuff.
But like even the bones, that bone went to
bones-
make a spear to take out a caribou next week, and needles,
everything.
Like,
They use everything. So I mean, as much as I hate seeing a whale die, I understand in this case.
that's one of those situations where like that's all you have for resources.
But they're not damaging the ecosystems.
No, they're taking only what they
what
need, and that's it.
Sustenance hunting.
Sustenance, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit off that topic, sorry. The interesting, like with Shark Week, the titles that they use are ones that are meant to instill fear and negative thoughts. They often use words like bite, blood, fear, deadly, monster, danger, wrath, and man-eater. And there was a really amazing study done. I found the paper on it. It's a very long research paper, but it's analyzed Shark Week content over the years. It was done in 2021. It's really long, but it's pretty cool. There's a lot of graphs in it. And
Ooh, graphs.
so, like, the word attack was used so often, like huge amounts of time. What's interesting is that as Shark Week went along, those word uses got even more.
But didn't you say at the starting they were trying to change the outlook or like the perspective of what a shark is, and we're trying to calm fears and stuff? And now they're like, nah, fuck it, let's just crank it to 11.
Yeah, like the negative titles that were done like in 88, even up to like 96, the negative titles were limited. And then it just took off where now the negative titles are the main point of it. Like all these negative words that make you think those things.
So it's safe to say that my off-the-cuff numbers that I kind of just...
I actually have
think-
numbers to
Are they
support
relatively accurate to support
Yes.
mine? Oh, great. 'cause I
Violence
just
sells.
So-
made mine up.
A recent study showed that almost 3/4 of the shows on Shark Week reference shark bites or other negative things. 3/4. Yeah. The use of negative imagery has increased. The amount of research-oriented programming has decreased. Some years there are less than 25% that are research-based. Yep. And even on these, the methods are skewed towards what will be most entertaining and work for the cameras.
You ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
So, for example, their research techniques, they show their researchers using things like satellite telemetry tagging, drones, ROVs. But the majority of shark science is actually very methodical and meant for conservation. It spends a lot of time looking into things like the reproduction and the life history of the sharks and the way to conserve it. It's tedious, time-consuming. It doesn't look good on camera. So many Many
And they gotta use
scientists...
the waterproof camera.
Pardon?
And they gotta use the waterproof camera.
Yeah. Many of the scientists feel that the results are often being presented during Shark Week as being very authoritative and controversial, which is not what the realism is like, which is kind of uncertain and repetitive nature of the actual science. Many times they're not quite too certain. They have to keep researching and lots of repeat. The experts that are often shown on Shark Week are also a little bit questionable. One examination found that only around 40% have any peer-reviewed findings, and 23% have no written findings whatsoever. So these are experts who have nothing to
That
back
have
them
no
up.
degree, no papers
My
out.
guess is that the no peer-reviewed experts or so-called experts are probably likely from various aquariums who might pretend that they're doing shark conservation when they're really not, because they're into captivity.
I found
What-
it fishy.
What many conservationists and scientists are calling for is they want Discovery to distinguish between who the experiential experts are and the scientific experts are. So an experiential expert would be, he's a fisherman, he's been on the water for 30 years, and this is what he's seen. Yeah, exactly. And scientific one,
Oh, who wants to take a guess?
we all turn ours off.
Oh, no. That one was actually an update. That's weird. I'm not supposed to have those. Don't know why I got that one. That's weird.
So
Something's getting deleted.
the other thing I came across, which was kind of interesting, is there's also been a bit of controversy about the experts that they do choose in terms of the fact it's mainly white males. And the shark scientific community is not prevalently made up of white males. There's a lot of women doing it. There's a lot of other different, and yet the experts that Discovery is showing, it's prevailing with white males. So that one, I have no idea. They feel that there's not a proper representation of the actual experts.
I actually am going to probably set the women's movement back a little bit here. I don't actually give a shit whether you're white, not white, female, not female. It's about the sharks. So if you're bringing the actual education, I don't really care who delivers it as long as they're actually experts and scientifically backed by peer-reviewed papers and stuff like that.
I would just prefer them to bring
'Cause the
factual information.
Yeah, the show
I don't
is
really
about
care about your
the
credentials.
show is about the sharks, not about inclusion of
Yeah.
humans.
And that
Sorry, not sorry.
You could
was
have it
my
hosted
thought.
by Bobcat Goldthwait, and as long as he's spitting the truth, I'm all right with it.
My thought on it was I wasn't really caring too much about, okay, so there are a bunch of white males. It's are these the right experts? What the information I found was it was questioning as to whether or not they were bypassing the actual experts and just focusing on they just went for these white males rather than the women that might be doing it or whatever. So that one I didn't know, because it's, as far as I'm concerned, get the real expert. I don't care if everybody is exactly the same brown hair, blue eyed white guy of 42 years old. You know, I don't care. Is it the expert? But there is a lot of issue with the fact that their experts are not really experts.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, when we did the Mermaid podcast, when I totally debunked that entire documentary that Matt sent me, including the so-called experts.
Michael Jackson's alive.
No, he's not. Get over it. Anyways, are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So the weeks should be used dedicated to these animals to educate people more about them. Keep some fun in there. Yes, I understand. We need that. We need some of those fun episodes with some of the shark bites, because you can actually learn a lot from them, how shark attacks happen and stuff. So, I mean, you can learn from them. Like, don't go swimming at dusk or dawn, and maybe respect the oceans more. Be more aware of your surroundings. Look into what kind of animals cohabitate in that area where you're swimming or surfing or whatnot. But they have this famous and perfect platform that they have built, and they should utilize it correctly by educating people on what is happening to sharks and the effects of the degradations of our oceans because of fishing and hunting. And maybe more people would be more inclined to help and save them instead of hunting them in barbaric retaliations for attack on a surfer or a swimmer. Maybe by educating people, we'd be more inclined to save them and less exchanged or entertained, I think that's supposed to be, and less entertained by the blood in the water. So that's where I stand on the whole thing. I know I'm probably really harsh to, whoops, I don't want to do that. Harsh to the programs, considering I used to really enjoy them myself. But I can't enjoy them now because I found that there was just too much false information out there, and it was taking the fun out of it for me.
Yeah, you weren't learning nothing.
I wasn't learning anything. I can learn more on my own by reading a book.
I think that they should definitely put in a lot more or do some better vetting on their scientific information and add much more in. But I do feel they need to keep some of the sensational stuff in because it's the sensational ones will draw in a different demographic, and maybe that demographic will stick around and watch a few of the scientific ones. That's what I'd be hoping is that, okay, by bringing in a few of these shark bite ones, you'll attract somebody who's just out for, I want some thrills. And then they'll stick around and they'll watch something about, here's some actual information. Here's what you can do to help.
Yeah.
That would be good.
So Shark Week this week starts on July 7th and it has a host. But you can't see him
Why?
because his name's John Cena.
Oh, yes, that's no. right. I
saw that.
So I made a John Cena joke and Chris wasn't here to have it.
Well, that'll learn them for having.
That'll learn him. So do you have any
problems.
opinions on how Shark Week, do you agree with that? It should be more education and conservation based than
I think if
glory?
they were going to add the entertainment side of things, that they should have done it at the beginning. So it was just a normal standardized thing. Okay, we're going to be getting entertainment based ones. Or make sure that it's clearly marked as fictional. You know what I mean? Like the Megalodon thing.
Yeah.
Or even, like, I know Sharknado is obvious that it's fictional.
God, yeah.
Like this, if it's not, you need to go touch grass.
Hell yeah.
It's okay, baby. Sometimes we all need to lie down.
I think we can even go as far as saying that Jaws itself is very fictional based.
But like I'm saying, like if you're gonna do something like that, be like, Jaws at 2 and 5, and in between we've got a documentary about the great white shark and how people are hunting them for their fins.
And
And
shark
then-
water. Put shark water on there.
And then go back into another movie after that. But just make sure everything's clearly labeled, and the ones that are educational, do your homework.
Yes.
What I would love to see is, let's say if they did broadcast Jaws, I'd love to see it done as a commentary where the movie, let's say, pause the movie for a second, and then a scientist will come in and say, this is actually what it would do.
Oh, like a pop-up video?
Yeah.
I got an even better one. That would at least make it entertaining. You do Jaws, but you do like Mystery Science Theater, but
Yeah.
instead of the goofballs in the front row, you have them say, oh, that shark only should weigh this much, or whatever, you know? Like,
A
have
commentary.
it more of a funny commentary. But
Why would you
actually
need a
spitting
bigger
facts.
boat? You have a crane on the back of that one. You know,
Yeah.
things like that.
But even if they just showed, okay, even when you look at it, compared to things like the Megalodon debacle, Jaws is at least more accurate than that, you know?
What? Okay,
and
so
more
then,
accurate than Sharknado.
so then, say they did like an entertainment one. You know, the following program is for entertainment purposes only. No
would be
sharks
fine.
were harmed in the making of this film. You know what I'm?
Yeah, that would be
and then
fine.
do like the great white shark against a hammerhead shark. Who would win?
I can
And then
understand.
start going through the list. Do like a fictional tournament of the most lethal sharks pitted against each other. That would be
Like a UFC, but like,
yeah,
like for sharks.
for sharks.
Isn't that
Where
kinda
would
like
they all?
cockfighting though? Like-
No, because it's all fictional,
fictional, yes.
and it can all be, you know, 3D rendered or what have you. Just like what is that thing on YouTube where they do the death battles and stuff? They take two fictional characters and pit them off against each other, even though they have nothing to do with each other.
There actually was a series, and I think a few episodes were aired during Shark Week, but I couldn't find a full list of all the episodes, which is probably good because I would have taken another 20, 30 minutes.
Listen up,
But
Discovery. We're giving you
there
this
was
shit.
a really cool series that was, I can't remember the name of it, but it basically took two animals, and the scientists would create like a fake skull and jaws, and they'd figure out what the bite force of the animal was, and they'd basically do a mock battle between the two, who would win. So let's say, I think there was one like Megalodon versus, let's say, Great White. I don't know, but they did this, and it was done in a really good scientific format. You got to see who would win, and there were many, like there was like T-Rex versus Allosaurus or something. I can't remember, but it was actually really well done, and they'd create these mock jaws up, and they'd figure out the bite force. They talk with the paleontologist. They'd figure out how do you know, and based on the muscle placement, based on the teeth formation, like it was really actually good. I remember watching it years ago.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah.
Good times.
But I can understand also too when you see something advertised like Michael Phelps versus a great white shark, and I would think logic would dictate. Personally, I would think logic should dictate that it wouldn't be a real great white shark. You can't have him swim next to a real great white shark in the ocean because he's going to become dinner, most likely, unless they don't like the taste of Speedos. And second of all, great whites don't exist in captivity, so you couldn't even put them in a pool with a divider in between them and see who's going to make it to the end. Like, I think logic should have dictated to most of those viewers who were upset about it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that they're probably from the South.
Well,
But it should have been logically based. Like, you should use logic in that.
I saw some of the commercials that were advertising it. I watched some on YouTube, and they actually really did make it look as though he was going to be racing a shark and that they were just going to be separating them. They really did make it look like it was real. And so that's why people were upset when they tuned in and they found out it was CGI. You know, but still, exactly. But it's Discovery, just like all of the other documentary channels, or most of them, I remember watching TLC back in the mid 90s, late 90s.
Trading Spaces?
Yeah, and it actually had cool documentaries on it where you learned. Well, now it's just random shitty stories about people's lives. Like, come on, it's not the Learning Channel. Discovery went the exact same way.
Yeah, history.
They dumbed down, like totally dumbed down. But I guess that was in their search for ratings and more money, so they dumbed down
the
their
internet
programming.
was born, right?
Yeah.
But whether or not the internet was born, these programs, like, it's hard to find good documentaries these days, especially animal-based ones.
I'm having trouble with the cult ones, at least ones that are very long.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole...
There is. I have to find it for you, but there is one.
I found some... anyway.
But I mean, like, finding documentaries that are actually factually based and not so much mockumentary based is become very difficult. And I think...
Well, it's the money thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
but
expensive.
I think when you have a platform like Discovery or History does still do pretty good documentaries, but they do your sideshow kind of shit, too.
Well, your Ancient Aliens with that guy with the weird hair, that's
and
on
the
History.
Skinwalker Ranch. The Skinwalker Ranch, too. Like, I watched so many episodes of those, and yes, I got addicted to it while we were doing that. But I also knew that I was like, okay, this is very subjective stuff here. Like, it's clearly BS, but you still have to take whatever you watch on any TV station with a grain of salt in terms of accurate information anyways.
And with the internet, there is no excuse for not looking things up and double checking your
Exactly.
facts. Googling information is so freaking easy. Now, learning how to sort through your results and figure out what you're reading and if it's good. Like the paper I found that was analyzing, I looked through that thing so closely to find out who had funded it, where it was done, who done it, was it peer vetted, and I found it looked like it ticked all the boxes, at least to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looked okay.
Because of my vast knowledge of sea mammals and sea life and stuff like that, because I have taken an interest since I was like 8, and knowing what I did know about sharks previously, a lot of my stuff I wrote without actually researching. But then after I wrote them out, I went out and double checked everything to make sure that I was accurate. And there was a few mistakes I made, so I had to change them so that they were correct. But I was proud of myself because I wrote my stuff out for tonight basically based on my own knowledge, because I've taken the time to educate myself with proper information using NOAA and NOAA, which is, I can't remember what it stands for right now. I'm having a brain fart.
Organization of Aquatic Animals?
Yeah, I think so. Anyways, I think so. Yeah, like I'm having a brain fart. It's been a really busy week, and it's only going to get worse. So, like, I did use that as my main base, and I did do that howstuffworks.com because I found that was pretty interesting. And I did make sure that I double check things other than those numbers that I randomly threw out, because I did say at the beginning of that, this is mostly my opinion. Colleen kind of backed it up with that peer review paper. So that kind of gave me some validation that I wasn't just pulling numbers out of my ass. So I was kind of proud of myself on that one.
Was pretty on.
Yeah. So it's like,
We double fact check.
yeah. So yeah, I think
If
we
can.
definitely need more education on conservation, more education on what these sharks actually do, what they are, what sizes, what they eat, how they breed, how they hunt, what their families like. Do they stay with their families? Like orcas stay in their families their whole lives. Obviously, I don't think sharks do. You don't really see a lot of them traveling in a group.
We're
But
at-
I think we need more of that.
Yeah. We're at 50 minutes. I wanted to bring up one thing really quick. Years back now, it was either on PlayStation 2 or on the Wii. I can't remember which one. I think it was actually PlayStation 2. But Jaws. One of the coolest games I ever played, because you're not playing as a dude. You're actually playing as the shark.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So as you go, you would get points for each person that you ate. And we're talking everything from guys on fishing boats to poachers that are trying to shoot you off of boats to people just chilling, swimming in the water. You can do the whole come up underneath them, bite them in half. There was ways that you could actually get combos, and you would first bite them, then you would throw them up in the air, and then jump out of the water and either bite them out of the air or tail flick them out of the air. If you got good, you could grab a guy and tail flick him into another guy. That guy will fall off his boat. The boat is now not being commanded, and you can do this out of the water jump and do a belly flip in the middle of the boat. The boat will get crushed in half and just sink to the bottom of the ocean. One of the coolest games I ever played. And just because they took the liberties to add, like, powers to it that, yes, were over the top and gory and stuff like that, but they fit the character of Jaws. Like, how does this fish keep getting stronger and bigger and stuff like that?
And it's a game, so you can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And just like having the freedom of it
You're
being
not
a
expecting
video game.
education out of video. games.
No.
Unless,
Like,
unless
the-
you're playing Where in the World
The
is
first
Carmen
thing you
Sandiego.
do is your first boss fight is actually a killer whale.
See?
But I think by the end of it, the killer whale backs off, and you end up freeing both yourself and the killer whale from the ocean
Oh,
aquarium.
so it's Jaws meets Free Willy.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's good. We're at
Yeah.
51 minutes. I only added 52 minutes. All
Okay,
right,
so
Chris.
just remember, guys, when
Chris
you're
is
watching
dancing
these
like a
things,
weirdo.
think of. I want you to go find Shark Water and Shark Water 2, and really educate yourselves.
And I'm just saying, but shark steaks are good.
Ew! What the fuck?
Have a good night.